Welcome to the Pitmaster Podcast. We're barbecue competition competitors that aim to share information, advice, tips, and tall tales about our favorite pastime. Head over to thepitmasterpodcast.com for all things Pitmasters, or follow us on your favorite social media platform. And now, here are the hosts of the Pitmaster Podcast, the two-time Grand Champion, SCA World Champion finalist, and barbecue specialist of Smoke Ain't No Joke Barbecue, the Anthony Luan, and the 24-time Grand and Reserve Grand Champion, Reserve World Grand Champion, Windover High Roller Champion, and the founder of Pitmaster Barbecue Supply Company stores in Utah, the old man himself from Big Johnson's Barbecue, Jesse Johnson.
This is Greg Rempe from the Barbecue Central Show, and you are listening to the Pitmasters Podcast, and they are doing it live.
We'll do it live.
That's right, Bill. I just said that. They're going to do it live.
We'll do it live.
Yes, live. They're going to do it live.
What's up, Pitmasters? Another Tuesday night. How's it going, Jesse?
Good, man. How you doing today?
Not too bad. Not too bad. So,
Not over that cold yet, huh?
Man, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't want to go to the doctor to find out because they'll probably just tell me something's wrong. So just not to know.
Just stuffy and can't get rid of it. I feel you.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just season change. I don't know. It's been like this for a month, so who knows?
Yeah, all the different pollens that are in the air, man. So
Yeah.
how was your cook this past weekend?
Yeah, man. I cooked the Caveman Cookout. It was an SCA event. Entered 2 categories, got 2 walks, took 10th place in steak and 4th place in chicken. So
Nice.
so
How many SCA teams were there?
SCA, I think there's like 16 or 17 right around there, and then there's like 11 or 12 that competed on the whole barbecue thing for the circuit. So it was cool.
Nice.
Yeah, speaking of which, Friday night there was a taco and steak competition, and Nate Benson took down taco, and Johnny Cobia won steak. And then on Saturday, Brendan Nelson won chicken. Jeremy Meekum took first place in ribs. Nate Benson first place in pork. Brisket was Trevor Haroldson, and then steak was Steve Conaway with the GCs of Shenanigan Barbecue, and RGC was Tuffy's Barbecue.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it turned out to be a pretty fun event. It was a little windy on Saturday, but it's better than rain sideways.
I really thought they would get a lot more barbecue teams after Grand Junction got canceled.
Yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about Grand Junction? I know some facts about it.
Well, I've heard rumors that
Yes.
So I guess teams didn't get paid last year in the SCA event there, and the same guy that was in charge of that money was in charge of the money for the barbecue cup, the Rocky Mountain Barbecue Cup. So I think that might have been the issue, that there was money issues. But the other thing is, like you said, is teams haven't got their refunds yet.
Exactly. So yeah, the same barbecue, I guess, coordinator or whatever you want to call him, promoter. He did an SCA event last year, and yes, he did not give everybody their funds right away. From what I've gathered, about 90% of people have been paid. Some people still haven't been paid.
From last year.
From last SCA. And then this year, yes, they canceled 48 hours before load-in. And they claimed weather, but apparently it was not weather. It was actually logistics of stuff. And one of the back-end owners did reach out to me and let me know, that things just went sideways and the event was canceled, and it was not due to weather. So
That's so brutal.
yeah. So
That's unfortunate. Well, let's get on to some better news.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the BBQ World Cup and Shannon in.
Yeah, let's bring her in and let's talk about this BBQ World Cup, an event that's going to be happening in Vegas and all the cool things. So let's go talk to her.
Let's do it.
This is the single best investment you can make to become a better cook.
Thermopen 1 is the best thermometer I've ever had.
My thermometer of choice is ThermoWorks.
When it comes to quality that I can trust, this is the company that I go to over and over again.
There may be other thermometers out there, but there aren't other Thermopens.
Shannon, welcome back to the show. How are you doing this evening?
Hi, guys. I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Not too bad, man. It's a nice Tuesday night here in Utah. It's coming in at what, 90 degrees today. So
Oh my gosh, that's hot.
right, and it'll probably crash. Actually, I know it's going to crash on Sunday. So
Yeah, it's gonna get back down in the 70s and 60s by the
right,
weekend. So
it's so wild. But yeah, we brought you
Right.
on this evening. We're going to be running this updates quarterly until the event happens. But for people who are not aware of your competition that is going down, do you want to give a little bit of backstory on what the BBQ World Cup is and what's the plan for that event?
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to come back. We've come a little ways since we were all last together.
Yeah.
The Barbecue World Cup. We're doing the first ever Barbecue World Cup in April 8th through the 11th in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're taking it varies by competition, but we have 51 qualifiers around the world, and we have 26 folks qualified so far. We take the lead or head designated pitmaster from those teams, and some teams have one competition. We take either the grand champion, or in some cases, we're taking the grand champion and Grand Reserve. So it just depends on the competition. So I know that, that's sort of check your local listings
Yeah.
kind of vibes, if you remember such things from television actual schedules, but check your local listings. But we are taking, in every case, we take the grand champion, and then in some, we take the other two. In one competition we took, or actually two competitions, we took three
Awesome.
top placements. But we're super excited. We're planning for it to be 4 days in Vegas over the course, and includes a big fan-facing expo and marketplace. So in addition to the top 100 pitmasters cooking in Las Vegas for $1 million, yes, it is $1 million to the winner, not the prize purse. There'll be more money given away, but we're sort of figuring that piece out still. But some of the competition proceeds will go to the competition that the winning pitmaster came from. We are also taking the KCBS. We're taking 5 of those Team of the Year for the points chase. So we have an official relationship with KCBS now.
Nice.
So that's very exciting. So they have 9, it's basically 9 spots total as it relates to the different teams and comps that are coming through. So really excited about that. And yeah, we've got 26 folks or teams qualified. We've still got, doing the math, 74 spots available. And, competitions now, season's really heating up. We're going to Memphis in May this weekend. Got KCBS Worlds coming up. Very excited. And yeah, the game is on, folks. Get your tickets, come to Vegas, come out to compete. There's still spots left in several other qualifiers. So our website is relaunching. So just so everybody knows, it's there. It's just not the website we had envisioned. So third time's a charm.
Got it.
And, we keep coming back for more. So yeah. And then the social Instagram and Facebook have, a lot of the detail, and we're, featuring the teams every single week. We're going back to feature some of the teams that we weren't able to get up, and, rolling out podcasts, the Road to a Million podcast series, where we'll be interviewing the different qualifiers. So that'll be fun. We're learning lots about them, and we've got the barbecue boardroom, and we're talking more about that as well. So lots going on over here at Barbecue United and Barbecue World Cup.
That is
Very cool.
awesome. That is
So
awesome.
what's the venue going to be at? Where's the venue?
So it's a great question, Jesse. So we have 3 venues, top contenders. I would say in the next 2 weeks that'll be locked down. We have some formal contract negotiations actually going on in real time. And some of that is location based. What are the best places where we have enough space, right? Because again, we're having this huge expo. We're also having the pitmasters. Those pitmasters obviously need to have space outside. We want fan viewing. We want interaction. We want people to be able to see them, cooking. So we had to kind of narrow down to 3 different options in terms of that could accommodate us, that want to participate. Obviously co-marketing is a huge opportunity. We're talking to Vegas everywhere we go.
Right.
Fill in the blank venue, suddenly everywhere we go.
Yeah.
But it's really exciting. And I think we're going to be able to land that plane. It'll allow then, we'll start having ticket packages and all that kind of good stuff go live as well shortly after that.
That is awesome. And then also, are you guys still moving forward with the plan of all the meats are provided and you guys are going to provide the smokers? Is that plan still moving forward as well?
We're working on that. There's been a lot of feedback from the community,
Right?
as
Sure.
one can imagine.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, it's really, that is still, full disclosure. We're still
Yeah.
working through all of that because there's a lot of opinions on how people want to be able to show up for the competition. So taking all of that on board, plus all of the, back of house requirements that are needed in order to have that much meat on site, in order to make sure that, it's a fair competition and a fair cook. What does that look like? So we're taking all of that in now. And then, once we lock the competition, it'll be or the location, it will be easier for us because we'll know what's available to us as well, right? In terms of storage and, making sure that, what does fair look like?
Right.
And,
Exactly.
and as you can imagine, the pit masters that are qualifying are professionals and they're very good at what they do. And they have lots of thoughts about, how they want to cook. And then, just in terms of people that haven't qualified yet, but want to also have a lot of thoughts. So, we're just trying to make sure it's a fair competition. The integrity holds up, that everybody gets what they need. And, do it in a way that honors barbecue and the tradition of barbecue and the way people compete. But as you know, also there are different organizations and societies in terms of judging and, all of that. So we're taking all of that into consideration, throwing it in the bucket, and, consulting with folks. But ultimately, Scott and I need to figure out the fairest way to make sure that everybody gets what they need and everybody has a fair cook.
Yeah, it was interesting in the last competition down in Las Vegas. They didn't allow teams to use pits that were attached to their trailer, so they had to move all their pits off the trailer. So guys that had offsets that are mounted to their trailer, they couldn't use them, so they had to shift
They
and
do
figure
go
it
get
out.
drums and stuff, or what happened?
Yeah, that people just that had the drums were using those drums, and people were sharing. Obviously, are you going to allow any barbecue teams to bring their own cookers?
That's on the table, right? So that's one of the discussions, right? Because everybody does cook in a specific way. The goal for us is to give everyone enough time to plan appropriately, right? So, and we're a year out, so it's May, whatever it is, May 12th today, right? So we're 11 months out. So the idea is to lock the location, understand the kind of space we're working with, understand, we've heard everything from, there's no way that any particular grill company can get you enough of what you would need in order to provide that to all 100 teams, right? We've heard that, narrative. We've heard everyone wants to bring their own stuff. We've heard we want to fly in and have everything there for us, right? So
that's what I'm talking about. That's how I would be. Fly in, fly in, call it a day.
Well, and then there's conversation about, well, if the meat's provided, what if somebody doesn't get the cut of meat that they wanted and they don't feel like that cut of meat stacked up against the other cuts of meat, right? So, and again, you all cook all the time. You go to competitions, it's fun listening to everybody. Like, again, like some people, there's something that suddenly you have to you can't use your trailer, right? Like, like those kinds of things, or the chicken's bad, or, a lot of the, I just did an interview of Los Buzzards, and they were talking about the story of his first cook, I was interviewing Phil Breeden, and he was talking about in the Road to a Million series, he was talking about how his first cook, he engineered these whiskey barrels, but he only put a metal plate under one and not on the other, and it burned a hole through his trailer.
Right. Oh,
right.
Man.
Like,
yeah.
And so it's just, there's so many things to consider. So I think it's really about, what is, again, the most fair way. We want to make sure people feel comfortable cooking and have the awareness of what it is, but you're cooking for $1 million, and it's also got to be the biggest cook of your life.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So So that's the stuff we're just trying to figure out. How do you make sure that you got all the meat? If we are going to provide the meat, what does that look like? And how do we navigate, like, well, this person got this cut of meat and I didn't get that cut of meat, or,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of, and, everybody cooks every weekend. There's sort of a way that people cook. Do we honor that and just let it that be? Like, these are the conversations that are very live and active in our world right now.
Yeah, that is awesome. But yeah, I'm a huge fan for same cuts.
Yeah, what do
same
you guys
smokers.
think? Tell me what you guys think.
And
Why
then
not?
cooking in the public eye. You've been to a lot of barbecue contests from the last time we talked, but being able
Yeah.
to actually see a pitmaster doing his work versus hiding in a trailer, not seeing anything, that's more for public display. What you guys are going for, it'd be awesome to be able for everybody to just be out there and people can actually see what's going on versus everybody hiding in a trailer.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion.
Well, and I think, Jesse, that goes to your point of probably why the cooker, you couldn't cook on your trailer, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it was sort of like, make it accessible to people, because again, the more people that can see people cook, right? And they may be like, oh, I never thought about that. And granted, we're not going to let people like interact with the actual, contestants while they're trying to like prep their boxes and get everything ready. But I think that, what people love about barbecue, BBQ Brawl, I think, is launching the 7th season or something, is just coming out, right? Like, people want to experience what the pitmasters are doing because they're so good at what they do, and trial and error, and like, people, the one thing that you do, or whatever that is, right? Like, that is what inspires people to want to cook and enter competitions, right? And that's what we're trying to do, is preserve that, the incredible community competition lifestyle that is barbecue competition, right? Like, how do more people get the bug, right?
Right.
How do we enable that? And I think it's, to your point, right, Anthony, it's like, how do you show people and let them participate? And so that's the goal, right? Like, we want people to be able to watch the cook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially on that final day. That's huge, just like,
it's huge.
Because it's not just the spectators at that point either. It's everybody who's been eliminated would like to walk around and see what's going on, right?
Yeah.
That's It's kind of like, if you think about it, you got in Vegas, you got the poker championship, right? As people get eliminated, they hang out and still watch the pros succeed and to see how they're so much better. So I think that spectator side is key.
Yeah. And we're trying, we really want to integrate the folks, the pitmasters that are, they're getting eliminated, but like in master classes and other ways across like the expo and the time spent. So that, there's a lot of education that can happen and get people excited, sell more products, like let people, shop and merchandise and showcase and, got people excited about the lifestyle that is barbecue, whether you just do it in your backyard or you have a trailer and you travel, 35 weekends a year.
Exactly. And then also, just to kind of touch on this isn't just a one and done either. This is going to be hopefully an annual event, and that's going to be a totally game changer. Everybody's going to be like, I want to get to the BBQ World Cup, right? So and then it's also going to expand a little bit more to the international level. It has a little bit, but you're hoping to grow the international level, not just here in the States as well either. So
yeah, we just qualified from Meatstock, Sydney and Gippsland. So that was really fun. And I think internationally there's a huge, contingent in Brazil and the UK, and we get emails from Estonia, like, it's amazing, right? South Africa just reached out about being a qualifier. And we just want to represent, all corners of the world, right? Like, it's the truth, right? And it's so fun. Like, if you go to these comps and, again, I think you guys know this, like, I was not a big barbecue competition person before I started all of this, but I love it, right? I love going into the international village and hanging out with everybody and seeing them cook, and they're cooking like kangaroo and like the live fire stuff that Alfredoni does. Like, it's all just really, it's really incredible, and it really is a craft. And I think there's so many people that love it. And by giving it more visibility, to your point, Anthony, this is meant to go on for years and years and years to come. And when, we kind of talk about it as American Idol, right? The more people you can get in, there's a chance that, right now, if somebody came out and cooked for the first time, would they make it? But you never know. And the truth is like some of these stories that I hear, it's like, yeah, I showed up for this competition. I cooked a brisket and I got first place. And that's how I got the bug. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, obviously, but like we want to find a pathway. So no matter where you are in the world, you have a chance to come and be part of this celebration.
Right. It'll be interesting as the teams that don't move on to the next part of the competition, they're already planning on being in Vegas for the whole weekend. So they're going to be hanging around and coming around and checking out everything else as well. So the people aren't going to cook. And if they don't make it through the first day, they're not going to head home. They're going to hang out, check out everything that's going on. It's going to be a fun event for all the cooks.
Yeah, it'll be cooks, and we're gonna have a whole kids and family zone. So think about games and carnival and kids queue, and so the family can come out, right? We'd like to see high school and college teams showing up so that they can be part of this, right? Like there's a whole ecosystem here that kind of runs next to each other, doesn't always run together. And this is really an opportunity for everyone to be together and kind of in all forms and fashions of cooking, and by the way, for people like me, it means like cooking mac and cheese on a grill, tried to cook ribs this weekend with my dad. Thank goodness he was there, steady the ship, but I'm working on it.
Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah. And then what I'd like to see from this event, what I've seen some big events, you've came from, that American Idol background and everything like that. And as a show grows, people like to bring in celebrities, right? They like to bring in the celebrity people like that. But I feel like the barbecue community is such a small community that if you bring too many celebrities in, it pushes out the everyday cooks, the up and comers. So I think there has to be a fine balance of, being able to have a celebrity judge versus this micro influencer, but you can tell that he has a lot of energy to come in onto a judging panel, right? Mixing the two, because the community is so small. It's nice to see everything intermingled, but like I've seen events that have been going on for a while, and it's just, if you're not a big somebody, you're not even invited, type scenario, which is kind of unfortunate. But the backyard, the little guy should be involved too, because honestly, some of those little guys will go in there and whoop the shit out of some of these big celebrities.
They're good, right? And so I think that's it, right? We're planning to have like a creator row and again, like a bazaar for people who don't have they have a rub or a sauce and they want to sell their rub or sauce. But I think to your point, it is really about, a lot of folks are intimidated to enter the pro category, right? Because, they're like, well, these guys have been cooking forever and they're kind of their own deal, but like, I think that's where we're really trying to nurture, right? And uplift and extend the opportunity. And, some of that is by, partnering for education, but I think you're right, you're totally right, which is why we want to make the barbecue and watching the comp accessible. We want there to be creators and, pit masters and, whether you're a weekend warrior and like you just get out there on the weekend and cook your best chicken with your buddies in your backyard, like there's a lot of those people who have, 3 smokers and, I tell people now, they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, it's Barbecue United and BBQ World Cup. And then they tell me for an hour about their, different smokers and grills and
that's
barbecue.
Jesse's daily.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's really
Jesse's
fun.
daily.
That is absolutely my daily.
Yeah.
Is it?
People are, it's just people are so excited, especially the newcomers, right? They have so much passion. They're just like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do that, and those are the people that almost is your target audience versus people that do it every day.
Good vibes, right? It's like good vibes only. And also, listen, and the stats tell the story, right? Like there's 45 billion mentions of barbecue on social media and the top 600 influencers, right? And by top, that's like just a really large swath of people, right? From micro to macro, et cetera. They have 560 million followers. Like these people love barbecue. Like these barbecue shows on Netflix get brought back by delayed viewing, right? Like
Mhm.
because people got excited about them. But I think this is the point, which is, I have a 16-year-old son. He loved all the barbecue shows. He watched them all. He binge watched them all. And then there's nowhere for him to go.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And so we want to give him, my son and everybody else who is an enthusiast, a place to go and be like, hey, I can learn here. I can share here. I can try things. I can, showcase my stuff, like I
Yeah.
can do all the things that are barbecue. And I think that's really the pathway we're trying to create.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we got the baseline of the event laid out.
Yeah.
In the next 2 weeks, we are going to hear about the venue.
Two-ish. Give me an
Two-ish weeks. And then
we're working hard and fast.
So I know you got a timeline and you don't have to give us the exact details, but after the venue is launched, what is the next phase?
I lock the competition to lock partnerships for the expo, right? Like it's really important, right? To have everybody there. So really getting, the brands and endemic partners in barbecue and getting them to want to come into the marketplace. And we're trying to set up a retail element of that. So we get the buyers from, Walmart and Ace Hardware and like all these places in the room so that there is a little more of that, like it's a commerce moment, but also, how do we set up so that it is a fan-facing, immersive barbecue fun experience? Like I get to taste stuff and I get to sample or I get to mix things, like we want to create that kind of big, I keep calling it like the world's biggest neighborhood block party, like that's what we want to do. So in order to do that, we're going to be focused on partnerships. We're going to be focused on rules and how we actually start to really formulate that. I mean, we've taken a lot of different passes at this so far. So it will be then to lock some of that information so that we can start to roll it out to the community, right? The folks that have qualified already, and then the remaining, comps that, are people who are trying to qualify. And then it will be getting ticket packages in order, lots to be done. But also great, just great momentum, right? Like I feel like there's kind of a little bit of a rally going on. We're going dead on into barbecue season, which is really fun, especially in the US, right? So there's lots of different competitions happening. People are excited, people are getting excited for their friends who are qualifying. So, and all different kinds of qualifier, you got Bobby Ray, who's 20 years old, qualified, right? Like, and then you've got people coming out who haven't grilled in a long time and sort of coming back from retirement. And they're like, okay, well, I'll give it a whirl.
Right. Get a shot at that $1 million.
Get a shot at the million. So, it's a really big deal. Like $1 million is life-changing money. And, it's also a chance to, one of the funny things, or I guess interesting, not funny. One of the really fun parts about when I'm doing this, like Road to $1 Million interview series, and I, get to ask all these questions. And, one of the questions is like, why is this competition different for you than other competitions? And inevitably, obviously, everyone jokes like it's $1 million and like, yeah, that's also interesting. But one of it is just the field that they're competing against, right? Every one of those pit masters has earned a spot as one of the top 100 moments in time. Pit master is going to be there that they're going to be competing against. And that is just a really big deal. And I think is really exciting and motivating for the crew that, has qualified so far.
Exactly. It's like winning the Jack, right, Jesse? You're competing against the best of the best.
Yep.
So, but it's
the
just
Jack,
that big.
The Royal, and back when World Foods was a world championship, there was, you had to, like you said, you had to qualify. There was 160 teams there the year that I went, and everybody had to win a qualifying event to get there. So you were cooking absolutely against the best of the best.
Yeah. And that's a fun place to be, right? It's like I keep saying, and I'm trying to explain certain events to people, and I'm like, it's like the Masters of barbecue.
Exactly.
And feel like, oh, got it. You got to be invited. This isn't, there's a qualification, atmosphere, right? Like this is not something that you just get to show up for.
Otherwise you'd have 1,000 teams entered.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think that it's going to be, it's really interesting to think about the cook and what the cook will be and what the competition will be. It's a really fun exercise too, because also it's a global contingency, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, how we think about that is also important in terms of, the different meats and the different opportunities and, it's like
Right.
who's judging, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, teams are
Definitely.
going to have to be very much on their game to cook 4 days in a row and have great cooks every day in order to get to that final day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're only going to cook. So we do know that they're cooking 3 days.
3
So
days. Okay.
day one is just like an industry day. And so that will be, media, retail, education and classes, right, for pitmasters to
Mhm.
come. So, we're working on getting social media platforms there and different folks that will help educate the community too. If you are, so you want to sell your sauces, you want to sell your stuff, you want to have a retail meeting, like we want to set it up so there's a real opportunity for people to build their business pipeline. And, if they're a restaurant, that kind of, food truck, etc. So there'll be that piece. It'll also be a day where the media can come out and meet the pit masters and have moments and sort of what I would call like a soft launch of the event, because it'll be a Thursday, right? And then Friday is the first cook.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So the first cook, and we're going 100 to 50 to 25.
Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so
Yes.
we're going from 100 cooks. So there's 100 people there. How many?
100 teams.
100 teams. Yeah, 100
but
teams.
the teams are only teams of two.
Teams of two. And then, so what are your guys'
And a head cook.
what is your guys' projection on how many spectators you guys are going for? Are we expecting
30 to 40,000 people through
per day?
No,
Or
like
total?
8,500 to 10,000 per day
Okay. Yeah.
is what we're expecting.
So they're going to cook the first day. So what are they cooking all 4 meats on the first day, or is what are we doing on the?
That's what we're figuring out. Yeah, we're figuring that out because we want to make sure and different styles of cooking, right? Like there's different people have posed different there are different opinions about what should be cooked and which days and is it 4 meats and then 5 how do you also make sure that it's challenging? It's challenging anyway because you're cooking for 3 days in a row. We know that, right? So that's a lot anyway, especially for the winner or the win, those 25 that go in for day 3. That's a lot. But also, like, how do you make sure that really, if you're going to be the best pit master, what does that mean? Does it mean you cook the same 4 meats every single day, or does it mean you throw in a lamb or a turkey?
I'm totally down for, obviously having your traditional barbecue cooks, the ribs, chicken, pork, brisket, but breaking it up to having a short turn in, a creative turn in, and then a long cook. I think that's kind of like the ultimate to be able to find that pitmaster groove.
Well, and you got to make sure these teams have enough time to trim all their products and get them all prepped and everything else. Maybe looking at, are you guys going to be doing a later turn in, or are you going to be kind of stuck with the KCBS turn ins at noon, and are you going to move them later on?
I think we can start, we have a little bit of flexibility in terms of like how we structure the competition. Also kind of mapping towards like audience flow as well, right? Like so that people can get out there and they, to that end experience, some of these competition cooks. Like imagine the first day when 100 people are out there, teams are out there cooking, and the energy around turn-ins and the energy around, and we'll be live streaming it, in and around the venue as well as, commentating, and there'll be lots going on. But, making sure that you're watching that. And then, like we have said this before, which is, we're looking at trying to add that live scoring element and how that will work. So you can really follow along as scores are revealed and released, so that you're like, okay, and people know where they are in the field, right? So I think that is going to be a pretty fantastic moment. with those 100 teams. And then, I think the whole thing, right? We're trying to figure out a couple of maybe surprises. It's Vegas, so you never know.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Gotta have a little, is it all on red or is it all on black? We don't know, but yeah.
Got to have the green number out there, right? There's always
Yeah.
00 and 0. You never know what's going to happen with those.
You never know what's going to happen. You got to have, so yeah. So anyway, but to your point, like it's different, those different setups.
Yeah.
Like what are those different constructs, in terms
Mhm.
of making sure that it's competitive, and really if you win this competition, you've left it all on the grill,
On the
Right.
pit.
field, on the
Yep.
pit. You've left it all on the pit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta
Because
leave it all
if
on the pit.
you do a later turn in, you're obviously going to have better crowds later in the day, and then it shortens the time frame from as you're doing your turn ins. The live scoring is going to be incredibly important to each team, letting them know where they're at. Make sure that next turn in is going to be spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we really want to set up the competition field as athletes, which is why we're doing this Road to a Million series, right? We're going to start having some of those interviews go live, and you'll really learn a lot about the different competitors, right? And kind of their backgrounds, what their cooks have been like, how they got here, what was a big moment that they won, what was a big moment that was the heartbreaker, got away, and so, and kind of build some of that momentum around them as cooks. Because they all have very interesting stories, right? They're all and so it's been very fun and interesting to get to know them better, and then the crowds will get to know them, right? Because we'll play those stories and packages and then around the venue, so people can know who's cooking and what's going on and what is and little things, right? Like we have like the lightning round, right? And you learn if they like stick or pellet. It's like fun, stick burner or pellet. So. There's I think there's just going to be a lot of great energy, and we're keeping it family friendly in terms of pricing, right? We really want families to come out, so we're looking at making kids under 12 free, so that families can get out there, and then there'll be Restaurant Village so people can get food, and they can food trucks and all the things, right? People can sample and whatnot. So just making it a really fun, let's call it 3 solid days of like actual, kind of festival fanfare, competition cook situation. And then really that focus on Thursday to really help barbecue businesses grow, build, expand, etc.
And as you get farther down the line too, is how are you guys going to start bringing in the judging aspect of it?
So we've been having some conversations about judging as well. We have a lot of folks who have really kindly joined our membership on the website because they are looking to want to judge, right? We will take judges from the membership, but we are also looking at, how do you create, you don't want the angel table and you don't want the death table, and how do we make sure that doesn't happen? And, you create.
That's just going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Hey, we'll work really hard to have it not happen. So that's really been a big focus for us as well, right? We've been talking to Casey, we've been talking to Rod and that team, and like, how do we, and some other folks, and they've been really kind with their sharing of like knowledge and how we could think about setting this up. Because again, we need to protect the integrity of the judging.
Sure.
As well.
Yeah.
Right.
It's one of the most important aspects of these guys. So they're getting a fair shake from really good judges that have had some experience, and whether they're all master judges or what you got to do, but some of those master judges are some of the worst judges on the planet. They really
Don't tell
are.
them that, Jesse.
So this is just kind of what came to my brain.
Yeah, what do you got? Lay it on me.
You have judges sitting in a ladder formation, so all in a line, even if it has to be a U or something like that.
Okay.
And instead of just having broken up tables, what you do is say, like, there's 6 of us. You set the box down in front of me. I judge that, and then slide it down, and then that box will work its way down the line. And then so if Jesse's to the right of me, he gets that next box, and then it slides down 6 people. So then every turn-in box is going to move down the line, and the judges ain't going to be able to continuously get the angel table. It's just going to be broken up throughout the entire thing. So it's going to be one huge giant table. So that way, each judge can get a number, and you don't have to identify the judge, but you can also probably put them in your live feed saying, oh, judge number 2730 is judging low. And then that might force them to be like, okay, I am maybe, something in there to kind of level that field.
Interesting. Yeah. So you're actually tracking their scoring also.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at you, Anthony.
The table captain and the reps, if there's a judge scoring low, if they're 2 points lower than everybody else on the table, there's a conversation that should be had and usually is had to go, listen, you're 2 points behind everybody else. Tell me what you're thinking. And then go, you you can get replaced for the next turn in.
Yeah.
If you got side judge, like if they're not judging,
you have a pool off to the side.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Replacement judges.
If you're not judging fairly, you're going to get removed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be interesting.
I think if you just make judges more accountable and put their stuff in public, like you said, this judge is judging low, and he's able to see it in live time. Like, damn, I am judging low. What am I doing?
Well, it's kind of like the Olympics, when they put up all the scores, right? And you see the one judge, and you're like, why that person give a 7-4 and everyone else gave like a 8-2 and a 9-4? What is happening?
It's always the French judge.
Okay, noted.
I think you should have some
all
type
our Frenchies out there.
Yeah, and then I think we need to have a side quest competition too. I'm calling every pitmaster out that has a podcast. Go up against me and Jesse at the podcast cook-off challenge.
Well, I love it. Well, we're gonna have a media row, so you guys might need to be there, interviewing folks, and we want to have a media row with different podcast folks, podcasting live and pulling in creators and different folks and having conversations. Again, there'll be all those businesses there. There'll be a bunch of creators wandering around, some celebrities, etc. So we want it to feel like it is for everybody, right? And also give that content is going to be so fun and memorable, right? Again, great energy on site and all the things. So the pitmasters, as they try, that's the other piece, figuring out how we can make sure that we're capturing them throughout this journey, right? And having conversations and being like, all right, how you feeling? What's going on?
Right.
Because, they're going to be like, man, I'm tired, or, that was a hard cook, or my chicken was a little wonky, what happened?
How many podcasts can we do in a day, Anthony?
Forget it. We're just going to set up at 8:00 in the morning, and then we'll just hang out all day, and then people can just sit down with us, and we'll stream. We'll do it all. We'll just have a full stream. Be like, Jesse, I need to go to the bathroom. You got this. Go ahead and interview Christy Vanover or whatever.
You're up.
Yeah, just set up a little sound system so the people that are walking around can hear what we're talking about. So it's not just the podcast itself, but it could be a live podcast with all the spectators and the other competitors. The judges can hear what we're talking about. That'd be really interesting.
That could be fun. That'd be fun. Yeah. Listen, we're open to ideas, right? We're trying to figure out how to make this continuously engaging, fun for everybody, enjoyable for the people who are endemic pitmasters, right? Who this is what they do. This is where they, they do this on the weekend. This is their whole thing. To hey man, my dad was over and we made ribs and now we're out here as family and having a great time. It's that, it's that, and then everyone in the middle, right? Again, your weekend warriors who have 2 smokers and, cook for their neighborhood friends and tailgate and all the things.
Exactly.
Remember we were doing the smoke on the water competition down in Laughlin. I was not broadcasting, but I was live on my microphone while I'm doing my turn-ins, and the other teams just thought I was absolutely crazy. And then I was doing sampling too. Had a runner. So it was how are you doing it all? I'm like, all I'm doing is verbally communicating what I'm thinking in my head as I'm building my turn-in boxes. And it's what you got in your head anyway.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah.
you're doing is vocalizing it, and people are like going,
Yeah.
well, that's interesting. Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting. That's
Yeah.
interesting. And then they get a sample of some of the meats that we were turning in. It was like, it was so much fun. But
Yeah.
the other teams thought I was absolutely nuts by doing it. I was like, all I'm doing is saying what's in my head is I'm building a box, and then they get to try a couple samples. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have that. They'll be mic'd and like, we'll be going around and like they'll be chit chatting and ideally they'll be, as we know, right? Like whenever the cook happens, there's lots of extra meat, there's lots
Yep.
of extra stuff, and so people getting the opportunity to taste competition barbecue is a really big deal.
That's a huge part of it, because
Yeah.
when spectators come to a barbecue competition, they're most of the time they're not allowed to try to sample the turn in products, and that's the one thing that the KCBS is missing in the competitions, is getting the public involved.
Yeah.
So I think what you're doing is going to be groundbreaking. For one, the amount of money that's involved is groundbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
But I think getting the spectators involved is something that the KCBS should have been working on the last several decades.
Yeah.
Well, and we hope,
For sure.
this will be fun, right? Because this is a collaboration, right, with the community. So in the end, right, like if we can figure out how to model that and do some of that, I know that there's a real big push, from KCBS to want to make sure that they are creating the next generation of barbecue competition. So, there's a way to partner to figure out how to make that more accessible. And then, that will invite more people into competition, because people will try and be like, oh my God, this is amazing, right? Or I want to do this, or, and I think this is about removing some of that like mystique, right? And being like, because the truth is everybody's like out there with their buddies, right? Like you're out there, you're cooking, you're next to each other, like you've been doing this, you're friends, or maybe you're not friends, but you become friends because you traded a tip about, chicken for ribs or whatever it is. But like, the opportunity for people to experience that, and also maybe even to give some of the pitmasters that accessibility that, maybe had gone away because you just cook with your friends all the time, right? So maybe in this setup, it turns a little bit into, okay, well, let's give the people some access. Let's give, create a new kind of energy around it.
Yeah, I love it, man. This is awesome. Well, yeah, we're going to be doing this quarterly, so we'll have you back in 3 months or so to get an update. But
I think by then, hopefully, Anthony, we're going to have a lot of good new news to share.
Well, I'm going to pry one last question
excited.
out of you, and you can answer it yes or no. Are the 3 venues on the main strip in Vegas?
It's a really good question. My sister's a lobbyist, and I notice when I talk to a lot of her lobbyist friends, I'll be like, that's a really great question, Shannon.
Right.
Like, is it? Is it a good question? Or are you just doing the thing?
The hardest part of being on the strip is that you'll be cooking behind one of the casinos, like a block off the strip. So I'm sure you guys are doing all this, is all the signage and everything else at the front. If they're on a casino that's at a casino that's on the strip, is directing that public where they can go see where the pitmasters are, because that's what they did. Think of the World Food Championship that was at Bally's in Paris. So we had all that huge parking lot in the back of it, and there was a stage on the strip where they had different people come up and do like mini classes. Like I did a class that was a mini wing class, and just kind of explained to them, okay, this is what I do with my chicken wings, and kind of went through that, and then they got to try them, because I think I cooked.
How much did you cook? I'm curious. Like when you did your estimates for meat.
Well, so
how'd you do that?
So World Foods gave me 20 cases of wings to cook, to sample for that, and gave me all the time in the world to do that. So I was and thank goodness I had a huge pit there, so I was able to cook all that stuff and then let the crowd sample those products. It was very interesting.
Okay.
So it
was
was over 1,000 wings.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
And just like one wing per person, basically. Yeah.
Yep. Let them sample it and
Let them
see
sample.
what a smoked wing tastes like. And I mean, you can do that with 100 different products. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's fun. We're talking about doing some tailgating experiences and things like that. And that's kind of one of the that's what I'm kind of working on right now, which is like if you were going to sample that much food to a big crowd,
yeah,
what kind of food should you sample? First of all, do you
Mm-hmm.
pick wings and ribs and
ribs. Yeah.
sausage, like those are kind of the
Mhm.
three that I've been sort of playing with.
Well, and pulled pork is really easy too, because then they can just get a 2 ounce sample cup and have a
Oh
plethora
yeah,
of
pulled pork.
Yeah.
sauces, a lot of plethora of sauces that they could try on their pork. And
Yeah,
there's a lot,
that's a good one.
there's so many ranges you can go with that.
And
So,
again, competition barbecue, right? Like from a pit master
yep.
is wildly different. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's so yummy.
Because
That's fun.
we're all working for one bite. It's one bite
Yep.
Yeah.
barbecue.
You're working
You
for
know?
one bite. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that.
Exactly.
That's cool. Well, we're thinking about that too. So we're thinking the same things. And the answer is they're in different places, but we want to be as close to the strip as we can because we want as much traffic as we can get. Right.
Yeah.
So we don't want to be far away. We don't want anybody. We want you to be able to walk out of wherever you're staying and
Mm-hmm.
make your way on. If you're not staying there, we want you to make your way over, and we want locals to be able to come in and get there pretty easily. So we're, kind of thinking through all those logistics, but it is fun to think about, like the different schematics for
Mm-hmm.
the different locations and how the things will be set up and what does the backdrop look like of that, which is kind of fun, in terms of Vegas. And it's but more to come. And
Heck yeah.
I think again in 3 months, quarterly on our quarterly report,
Exactly.
our quarterly
yeah.
updates,
Yes.
we'll have, I think, a lot more to share. So
Super excited.
it'll be
Super
great.
excited. Yep.
Yeah.
So cool. All right. We are looking forward to that next show, and we'll be keeping our eyes on all the social media for all the updates. Just make sure you go visit Barbecue United's webpage. They are launching a new one, so be excited for that. And then get out to
Barbecue
your
World Cup. Right now, it's still Barbecue World Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, and make sure everybody hops on all their social medias so you can
Yes,
follow them on the
please.
social media as well too. That'd be
And we
awesome.
answer a lot of questions there. So like if you have questions, it's the best place to hit us up is on, Instagram and Facebook, right? Because we can pop on in and have a quick chat and clarify. And, there's also, we love when people reach out, right? Like when you follow us and you reach out and you're like, hey, it's just really fun because it's really us like interacting with you. Just so you know.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Shannon, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we'll see you in a couple months.
See you soon, guys. Thanks so much. Appreciate you.
Yep.
Thanks,
All right.
Shannon.
Have a good one.